Hi, I'm a Christian and I'm afraid. I admit it. With this pandemic, I'm afraid. I don't think Christians should run around acting like there's nothing to fear in this world because there is. There's accidents, there's cancer, and there is pandemics. And of course, I'm not really afraid of dying. I'm afraid of living in conditions that are not good conditions. I was just at the grocery store, and in my 59 years of living in America, I never felt like I lived in a third world country where I had to worry about what food I would have, but the shelves were pretty much bare. And it was hard finding the things that I needed. I've run around town, so then you start thinking, well, how long will this go, and will things shut down to where we're standing in soup kitchen lines, and will we start being hungry and starving? And those are questions that I think are, maybe to think about. But I know God's in control. But the bottom line is that if you look through history and you look at other countries, people have had to suffer, even Christians. And I know in America that has been a taboo to even think about. No, if you're a Christian, God loves you. He's in control, and He'll take care of you, and He will. But we are just so foreign from suffering, and now we might have to do it. It's been a long time since this nation has had to suffer. And so what's amazing is that in a very short amount of time, we are going along, people are thinking, maybe, thinking about politics or whatever and what's going on. But now, out of the blue, it seems like what no one expected is happening. And it needs to sober people up. It needs to sober me up. It needs to sober you up that our lives are very fragile and we're not in control of a lot of it. We think we are, but we're not. And things can turn bad real quick. And so, where do you turn to? What do you believe? What is your foundation? As I listen to the news, I wonder. I lived through the Y2K crisis, or back in Y2K, the world was going to come to an end, and I even was sent to a class to learn about how the computers would shut down, put on by our local newspaper. And of course, it didn't happen. But there were people putting supplies away in the middle of Nevada. They were building shelters for the world to end. And come midnight, the time passed, and you watched the clock, and as the cameras went around the world expecting power to shut off and things to go chaotic, nothing happened. And you wonder, well, who was making up all this stuff? And it wasn't even real. And I'm not saying coronavirus isn't real, but I'm just saying we don't know. We don't really know the extent. A lot of this could be the wool pulling over our eyes to make us think this. I have no idea. And so where's your foundation? What do you do? How do you cope with this world? It should make you think. What's the point? Why am I here? What's the point of the suffering? A lot of people say, well, man, if God would put me through this, why would I want to trust in Him? Well, that's kind of a silly way to look at it. I'm sorry, but it is. Because if you don't believe in a God, you're still going to go through it. And what's the point of going through? What's the point of your existence? If there is no God, you haven't erased your problems. The problems don't go away. You just have no answer for your problems. You say, well, maybe it's another answer, and that could be true. But the thing is where do you get your answers from? Is it from some expert who says this is the way it is? Is it some book that some man wrote? What do you trust? I mean, can you trust one person's opinion? They say, this is the truth. I know about heaven, or I know about that, and I know about this. I know what's going to happen. I mean, they're pretty smart men. There are people who have insight. But do they really know? Do you really have something you can trust? And that's where I put my trust in the Bible. And you say, well, that's such an old book. Why would you trust that? It's got full of contradictions. It's just a bunch of stories. It doesn't make sense. And I say that's a bunch of hogwash. That is ignoramus speaking. That are people who look for problems, who don't look for solutions, who are looking to find things wrong with the Bible, not looking to find the truth in the Bible. I've been studying this book for 35 years, and I'm telling you, it's a great book. First of all, it was written over 2,000 years ago, and you say, well, that makes it outdated. No, it doesn't. People are the same today as they've always been. Technology has changed, but we as people, the core of who we are, is the same. And the problems we face are the same. And we're facing problems just like they have for centuries past. And the Bible has the answer for it. Besides that, the Bible took 1,500 years, about there, over 1,000 years to write by 40 different men. And yet it's a cohesive story. It's one story. That's an impossibility unless there's God behind the writing of it. It's not like any other book. It's not like a book that was some man's opinion. I'm sorry if I offend some people, but the Book of Mormon is what Joseph Smith said he got from God. How do we know that? I don't get mad at me, but the Quran. Ask yourself about the Quran. That's the words of one man. And it wasn't even, we know for a fact that he wasn't even the one who penned it. So we really don't even know if what's Muhammad said. So, I'm not telling you it's wrong. You can get mad at me. I'm just saying, look at the evidence. When you put the Bible against all other books, there's no other book that stacks up against it. There's no book so old that has so many verifications to it. Yeah, there's people who have problems with it, and there seems to be missing parts. I mean, as far as like maybe in archaeology or whatever, and maybe in science doesn't seem to always match up with it. But that's true with anything. You'll never find anything that you never question. The Bible is your answer to this world. And if you're going to understand the Bible, and that's what people don't do. People go to church, they listen to all these self-help messages and feel-good messages. We don't really study the Bible. There's an awesome resource on the web called the Bible Project. Great way to start learning really how to know the Bible. I started a YouTube channel and a podcast, Your Genesis, because I have learned in the recent years how misunderstood we are about Genesis. And if people understood it for what it really was, it would lay the foundation that everybody needs to make it through this life. And why you need to make it through this life. Why you even have to suffer. Why there's the point of all this. And so I guarantee you, if you put the time in and you turn your heart towards God and you really ask God to show you and you find solid resources for the truth and you start with Genesis, if you don't understand the first book of the Bible and you don't understand why it's laying the foundation for the rest of the Bible, I mean, it is not just the genesis of the world. In fact, that's secondary to it. It's the genesis of the Bible. It lays the foundation for all the teachings in the Bible. And if you miss that, then you'll read the Bible and you'll just get nothing out of it. You get Genesis, you'll know why where you came from, why you're here, what's your morality, and where you'll go when you die. Think about it. Hey, if you have questions, post them below. I'll answer them as best as I can. But what I know is, yes, there's scary times, but I'm not gonna act out of fear. I'm gonna be courageous because God's with me, and I will face fear in a sane way, and I will do the best I can. And I know why I'm having to go through this, and I know what the end results will be. And that gives me a peace because God's with me, and in the end, what it's going to reap is going to be great. So, hey, thanks a lot. I hope you get something out of this. I hope it's something meaningful to you. But like I said, if you have questions, put them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them. Thanks a lot. Bye.